Hey there, my name is Liam, this is my hobby room. New episode, new mug, same can-do attitude. Welcome to episode 2 of my airbrushing course for beginners, brought to you by BC Hobbies. In episode 1, we looked at an overview of the hobby to build up some familiarity with the tools and the general concepts about airbrushing. And in this episode, we're going to be looking at various types of paint, how to thin them, and how to get the best results with them. You're also going to learn about the kind of safety equipment you're going to need to stay healthy while painting, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, why don't we head on down to BC Hobbies, my local hobby shop, and we'll learn about different types of paint. At your local hobby shop, you'll find a ton of great hobby-grade paints to choose from. These paints are specifically formulated for usage on hobbies like model kits and miniatures. They're different from craft paints or artist paints, which aren't suitable for art purposes due to their consistency, performance, and makeup. The only thing you should be spraying through your airbrush are hobby-grade paints and the appropriate thinners and cleaners. As I mentioned back in episode 1, there are a few different paint types with different properties, health considerations, and reasons why people prefer using them. There are advantages and disadvantages to each type, and one may be suited better to your situation, so if you're confused on which type of paint to use, make sure to ask your local hobby shop. Most of the time though, it's going to be water-soluble acrylic. Water-soluble acrylic paints are the safest paints to spray with because they do not produce any toxic paint fumes. They do, however, produce paint particles. Those are the tiny little bits of paint that coat your model when you're airbrushing, but if you're not careful and you're not wearing a mask, they'll also coat the inside of your lungs. Despite water-soluble acrylic paint being non-toxic as far as fumes go, you do not want to coat your lungs in self-leveling acrylic polymer. To spray safely with these paints, you're going to need to wear an N95 face mask or equivalent. You're also going to need gloves and eye protection. Your spray booth is going to collect all of those paint particulates eventually, but while you're painting, they are going to be floating around in the air, so that mask is really important. Now, while spraying with water-soluble acrylic paints is definitely the safest health-wise, there are a few frustrations that people tend to have with this paint type. Firstly, it tends to dry very quickly. That means there's an increased likelihood that it's going to dry on the tip of your airbrush needle while you're painting. Now, dried paint on the end of your airbrush needle can affect your spray pattern, so keeping that area clean with a cotton swab and some paint thinner is going to be something you're going to have to get used to while you're painting. Similarly, related to drying and curing, water-based paints tend to clog the tip of your airbrush nozzle, which leads to speckling and occasionally spattering paint. If you're not thoroughly cleaning your airbrush from time to time, it might even result in the odd piece of semi-cured paint being shot out of the tip of your airbrush onto the nice model you've been working on for so long. You're going to learn much more about dealing with dried paint and clumps of paint in episode 4. Water-soluble acrylic paints are commonly seen in dropper bottles from manufacturers like Vallejo, Pro Acryl, AK Interactive 3rd Gen, the Army Painter, and Kaleido Colorworks. Now we're going to learn about solvent-based paints. Lacquer, enamel, and alcohol-based paints are what I refer to as solvent-based paints. Solvent-based paints are extremely durable. They also spray the smoothest, and they have the best leveling properties, which means they produce the glossiest finishes. The best metallic paints are always solvent-based paints. An added bonus is because the solvents like enamel, alcohol, and lacquer are so hot, you'll never have to worry about tip dry. And after solvent-based paints are allowed to dry, you can paint water-soluble acrylics directly over top, which is something I do on my channel very often. Now, all of that sounds fantastic, so why not just paint with solvent-based paints? Well, there is a downside that needs to be considered before doing so. Unlike water-soluble acrylic paint, alcohol, enamel, and lacquer paints produce something called volatile organic chemicals. These are toxic paint fumes. Solvent paints also produce particulates. Because of both of those factors, you're going to need more protection than a regular N95 face mask can provide. In this instance, you're going to need something called a dual cartridge respirator. These filter both fumes and particulates. You're also going to need gloves and eye protection. I point at my eyes, but these glasses don't have lenses in them. You'll need actual goggles. You can find all that protective gear at your local hardware store. Your spray booth will suck in all the extra paint particulates and fumes and vent those outside, and your dual cartridge respirator is going to catch any of that extra stuff that's floating around you. I recommend you leave your spray booth extractor fan on for 5 minutes after you're done painting so it can suck up all of the paint particulates into your filter, which you can replace after it's too dirty. Those protective measures are absolutely vital for spraying anything like lacquers, enamels, and alcohol-based paints. But before we spray anything, we're going to have to learn how to thin your paint. When you buy a bottle of paint from the hobby shop, it's going to be much too thick to spray out of your airbrush, so you're going to have to thin it. Every manufacturer makes their own brands of thinners and cleaners, and to keep things simple in the spirit of this series, just go with the same dedicated thinners and cleaners made by your paint brand. If your paint is too thick, it might end up spattering, or it won't spray at all, or it will come out speckly, like this. Painting this way will cover up surface detail and create unwanted textures or uncontrollable paint patterns on your model. If your paint isn't flowing evenly, it could mean you need to increase your PSI, but more often than not, it means you need to mix in more thinner. Conversely, if your paint is too thin, it's gonna run like this. Using this on your model will mean the paint will flow across the surface rather than stick to it, pooling in crevices and panels and obscuring detail. Paint that is too thin will not coat your model evenly. If your spray is running, you're gonna need to add more paint to your mixture. Your paint should spray out of your airbrush like velvet, with little to no speckling around the edges. Once you get a feel for it though, this will get much easier to achieve. So now we know we have to thin our paint, but how much thinner do we actually add to our mixture? Well, that question is asked all over the internet and has a variety of different answers based on personal preference. Generally, when you're thinning your paint, you want the consistency to match skim milk, which I don't know how many skim milk drinkers there are in the audience, but if you drink a lot of skim milk, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, go with the thinning ratio that I use. I start with a 1-to-1 ratio of thinner to paint, and I add a little bit more paint or a little bit more thinner depending on what consistency I need. Using what we just learned about speckling paint, which is too thick, and running paint, which is too thin, you can add a little bit more paint or a little bit more thinner on the fly while you're using your airbrush and mix it with a technique I'm about to show you called the backflow technique. This is a multi-use technique that is helpful for not only cleaning your airbrush, which we'll learn more about in episode 4, but also mixing your paint. Using this technique, you can mix paint and thinner directly in the color cup of your airbrush. Just turn on your air compressor, make sure your spray booth's extractor fan is running, and cover the tip of your airbrush nozzle with your finger or the included silicone cap with most airbrushes. For the next step, press down on your trigger to release your air valve, and then slowly pull back your trigger. Here you're going to notice the paint begin to bubble. Sometimes it'll bubble up quite tall, kind of like Marge Simpson's hair. That's at least what it makes me think of. That's okay, just take a paper towel and dab around the color cup so you don't make a huge mess. What's happening here is because you've plugged the nozzle, the air has nowhere to go except back into the color cup. This process is called percolating, and it's going to help mix your paint and your thinner together. And once you've reached the right consistency, you'll be ready to spray. I usually percolate for about 5 seconds or until I can visibly see that the paint and the thinner have mixed together. Do this whenever you add something to your color cup as well as when you're cleaning your airbrush. Now I've got a couple notes about paint that don't really fit in anywhere else, so I'm going to cram them in here with this little bonus section. First up in our bonus section, we're going to talk about pre-thinned paints. There are some water-soluble acrylic paints that arrive in their bottle pre-thinned for airbrush use. However, it doesn't seem to matter how much I mix these, it feels like the ratios are never quite right or what I'm used to spraying, so I tend to add a little bit more paint thinner to this mixture. If you're not sure whether or not your paints are pre-thinned, ask your local hobby shop before you buy them. Some examples of pre-thinned paint lines are Vallejo Model Color and Kaleido Colorworks. And lastly, there's a quick note on the term acrylic. Not every paint that is labeled as acrylic is non-toxic. The term acrylic actually refers to the polymer inside the paint mixture. For instance, Tamiya acrylics are famously mistaken for a water-soluble paint. They're actually a solvent-based paint that requires isopropyl alcohol or a lacquer-based thinner to thin or clean. Similarly, GSI Krios, better known as Mr. Hobby, makes two different acrylic paint lines. There is the Acrisian line and there's the Aqueous color line. Both of these are also solvent-based acrylic paint lines that require their own dedicated thinners and cleaners. I know this can seem like a lot of information at first, and I was tempted to tell you that don't worry, practice makes perfect, but because I think we're always learning, at least that's been my experience, I'm going to use a different term. I'll amend it just a little bit to practice makes proficiency. You will get a better feel for how to use paint and how to thin it properly as you practice. And while you're thinning, there may be times when you want to spray very, very thin paint or times when you need your paint to be a little bit thicker. These will be things you'll discover as you go along. For now, when mixing paint, I recommend that you do a test spray before you actually begin committing paint to your model. You can do this on bits of spare plastic, plastic cutlery, old model pieces. You can even do it on pieces of paper. It's a good idea to do a test spray so you know exactly what your color mixture is going to look like before you put it on your model. And lastly, it helps to keep a little notebook handy where you can write down all of your different notes on thinning paint, just in case you make your own custom mixtures and want to remember how you made them. And those are my notes on the basics of paint. We've actually covered a lot of ground already, and I know it seems like a lot, so you can come back and reference these videos at any time. But what about actually painting with an airbrush? You know, the thing that we're all here to learn how to do. Well, coming up in episode 3, we're going to learn about the anatomy of an airbrush, we're going to learn how to control it, and we're also going to begin developing your painting technique. So stick around for episode 3, and I'll see you guys next time on Liam's Hobby Room.